This episode is brought to you by Soul Taker Fightwear, proud partners of the Jiu-Jitsu Lou podcast. I recently had my own custom Jiu-Jitsu Lou podcast gi designed by the team, complete with Soul Taker branding and my name embroidered on it, and I absolutely love it. If you're thinking about a custom gi for yourself, your academy, or your team, head over to Soul Taker Fightwear and start the conversation today. You're listening to the Jiu-Jitsu Lou podcast, and I'm Lou Temlett. I know you're having a good day because either you've been on the mats considering getting on the mats, or maybe you're helping to save a gym. I'm so happy you're here listening or watching this episode. Please don't tap out before the end. When you want to make a difference, support the community in any way you know how. I'd like to welcome Matt Lane to my podcast. Hi Matt, how are you doing?
Hey Lou, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you. And thank you for joining me in the middle of refreshing Impact MMA, trying to save it before the 1st of September. And you're supporting your friend, Frankie Ratford, who is well known to some of us.
Yeah, so, I mean, I guess it's all come about through obviously trying to support Sherwin and Joe in the gym, in that he and I have had a conversation. I'm just launching my health and performance coaching business. They've obviously got the gym here with some underutilized strength and conditioning facilities. So we were having that conversation. And then Frankie, being the legend that she is, who's given me some help with my website and stuff, I was like, oh, can I check it out? Because she heard we were going to work together. And then has thrown her force of nature behind it. And in a day and a half, completely transformed the upstairs as we try and sort of, all club together and keep this community hub open.
Fantastic. And what you're doing in a short space of time while Frankie's in Salisbury. But for those that don't know who Frankie is, can you give us a bit of an intro for her on her behalf?
Sorry, Frankie, if I nearly swore then. I did well not to. If I mess anything up, I apologise, Frankie. So yeah, basically Frankie's kind of local to the area originally. She's from Burley, just down the road. But at like 18, left the country, moved to Australia. She's had a very successful career in graphic design. She's now moved into interior design, and this chick epitomizes community building. Like her first business, she spent 6 years, again, sorry if the numbers are wrong, 6 years traveling the world, connecting graphic design students with graphic designers. She spent 6 years going around interviewing people, doing all this stuff. So she's like, this is what she thrives in. She's just super kind, caring, helpful, skillful, and seemingly unending energy. And she's just come in, like I say, and blitzed this place off the back of being in the UK for the follow-up film into a TV show that she was on. It was recorded last year, but it's just been screening now.
Yeah. Amazing. So you're at Impact MMA in Salisbury. You may hear some banging around because I think there's probably a class upstairs.
I think there's someone running around on the mats upstairs, yes. So apologies if we do that, but it's really, right?
Exactly. So the kind of, to update anyone that doesn't know, Impact MMA has until the 1st of September to draw in more kind of, I don't know what to call us, more members in terms of MMA, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. What else do they do at Impact MMA?
I mean, we haven't got time to cover all of it in detail, quite frankly, because that's what has amazed me with places like this. Sherman and I met in a sauna at the other gym in town a little while ago, having a chat, and he's telling me all about his fighters and whatnot, but there's so much more than fighting in an octagon or on the mat, grappling on the mats, whatever it is. There's so much stuff going on here. So they've got a program going right the way through from kids through to adults. So that tends to be in the evenings, as well as, these are hobbyists, I believe the term is, just picking up on my terminology. Lots of hobbyists, and then a few sort of fighters or competitors. I don't, again, forgive the terminology. It's not my full, I'm not fully immersed in it yet, as you know, but So you got that stuff going on, but like during the daytime, there's a local provision around here. It's an alternative provision, so that's for kids that are either kicked out of school or for whatever reason can't go to school. So they come in here and they work with Sherwin on on MMA skills. But as we all know, sport, whether it's MMA or any sort of physical endeavor, can teach you so much more than just how to move and be healthy. Social skills, all sorts of things, confidence. It's an amazing thing that they're doing here. And to the point of community, Sean, who was one of the boxing coaches here, talented boxer himself, aged like 24, got a horrendous type of blood cancer. Apologies, Sean, I can't remember the specific diagnosis. We spoke about it the other day because my daughter had cancer when she was 8, so we got kind of similarity. But Sean, due to his illness, the severity was kind of out of action for the best part of a year. And when he's come back and is fit enough to work, Joe, who owns this space, has created a barber shop up in the corner of the upstairs gym to give this guy who's given so much to the community and to the gym itself, to give him a space to work and get back on his feet. So there's so much going on here, and it's a case of I guess we're trying to elevate the profile. We're trying to make use of the space that is available when it's quiet, because the thing that they've done here is always put the user first. So we all know times are hard at the moment. Cost of everything's going up. But they try to not pass that on to their members, particularly, the youngsters. They come along and times are hard. And the irony is often the people that need this kind of facility the most are probably the ones who are least able to access it because of financial and logistical reasons. And that's where the community more broadly, and through our own endeavors here, through another friend of mine who's coming in to coach on the business side of things to help them, rather than being incredibly good people and doing everything they can to not put that cost onto the end user, there's a balance to be struck, because ultimately if they don't, they're going to go under. And then there's nothing for nobody, right? So it's people like me coming in, renting the space, providing a different, like an adjacent service, so that athletes, the hobbyists, the fighters can improve their conditioning. The local community has somewhere to come and work out instead of trying to fight across town to the gym to the other side of town. Whether it's massage therapies and things. So it's trying to bring everyone in together and make it a real sort of hub, something that we can be proud of, something that the community at large can get behind and go, you know what, there are no facilities for kids, but there's that, and we're going to get behind it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And thank you for giving us a whirlwind tour of everything that's going on at Impact MMA and the fact that the community are kind of coming together at this critical time where there's, a couple of months before that there aren't the funds to keep the place open. And I know we're only kind of around not even a week into this program of Sherwin and Joe and Suzanne trying to, keep Impact MMA going, not just for the present moment, but for the long term. I remember coming out to Impact MMA for the first time, having grown up in Salisbury, for the Invitational that happened in 2024. And I met some incredible people, connecting with Corey Kent and a number of other athletes that had matches at the Invitational. But I remember Sherwin saying on one of his stories that actually they lost money when they hosted an Invitational. And I think that's part of the story. When gyms host events, it's often not a profit-making activity. It's just to encourage more, grow the community. But ultimately, anyone that's running a business in the jiu-jitsu MMA space needs to be able to make some profit somewhere to keep paying the bills, to keep, having the mats clean and all the other things that are so vital. What, from your perspective, is kind of the most impactful thing that's happened at Impact MMA from your perspective?
I think something that really stuck out for me is, a couple of weeks ago, again, forgive my pronunciation, but Royce Gracie was here. Like, that's fucking mental. Like I grew up like as a massive basketball fan, right? Like that was my thing through the 90s because I'm that old. But like watching Jordan in his prime, like I love music. Hendrix in his prime. If you're an artist, I don't know, Picasso in their prime. Gracie is that for jiu-jitsu, to my knowledge, right? And this dude's here rolling on the mat with a bunch of kids and adults and like everyone that came down. And like I couldn't get here because I had my children that weekend, so I was doing the dad taxi thing, running around on Friday night, so I couldn't come down at 10. But like I would have loved to be here. Just if you listen to someone that's at the very pinnacle of their game, you know, he'd like to my understanding, you know, this is the dude that kind of brought it to the masses as such. Like to be able to be, whether that's your particular sphere or not, like that's inspiring, right? And all these people can come and say, you know, whoever said they had a knock around with Pele or, you know, whoever, like that's the equivalent, right? So the fact that they've got that pull here and, you know, just mentioned Sean Sherwin's not much more than a year post open heart surgery. You know, Joe's there doing everything he can to help these guys. Like I'm coming, my business launch is like 6, 7, 8 months delayed because I had a stroke in October. And it's like, we've all, I don't know, it's just, it's just used to be a place where like you can all get together. You know, we've got this kind of common ground what weirdly kind of comes out in conversation. But that's what gets me about this place is I've just watched a dude come in, get his hair cut and leave, chat to Sherwin because he's like, wow, this reception looks amazing. And the dude like works at a local car dealership whose name I won't mention just in case he gets in trouble. But, you know, the fellas come in and he's like, oh, this is amazing. What do you need? And that's the thing, like, I think what Sherwin's done, which is amazing, and this is something that, like, generally as Brits, we're not very good at. Men, we have a stigma around this as well, is asking for help. And also money. Like Brits are weird. We're like shy about money. Like I've worked for some American companies and they're like, yeah, let's go, let's throw money at it. Like there's no shame around money. And this is the thing, like it's not about making money off the people that can't afford it. It's about finding ways to supplement what was being done. So, you know, whether it's, as you say, you know, ultimately we want more people on the floor. These invitationals don't make money. Events don't make money. They're loss leaders to get people through the door to then sign up. But if we can have people maybe sponsoring the event or collaborating, you know, if people like, I mean, Frankie's done amazing work and everyone's chipped in. Yesterday, a fella getting his hair cut, he does bespoke bedroom installations. Came down, just helped her put together the desk. It's now sitting in front of the house. You know, that's what this place has. It has heart and it has soul, and they're doing it for the right reasons. And that's what gets me going. And if it, you know, the fact that they are trying to do the right thing by the people, is amazing. And you know, places like this need to stay open for like. Sorry to like drag it out, but you know, like touched on it earlier, kids, adult. If you're an adult, you got two choices in this country of an evening. Basically, go to the pub, go to the cinema. Like there's not that, or you've got sports communities. If this goes, then the other two get filled. And same for children. You know, what are they supposed to do? We all moan about them being on technology. Bring them down here.
Exactly.
If you don't support it, it goes, and then they are on the technology. They got no other option, you know.
I know.
Like,
I just want to kind of bring back to the Royce Gracie seminar. I was very privileged to be able to buy a couple of tickets and support the gym, but equally go along to that seminar and learn from Royce Gracie himself. I took my son along, and it was an incredible experience. Quite humbling, in all fairness. And I spoke with a number of the other people that were there. There were children, and there were a couple of people that had never done any martial arts at all before. And that was really quite inspiring. And they'd come along just to meet Royce Gracie. And it was just, you know, I hope all of them kind of then sign up and be part of something that Impact MMA is growing. But I equally want to honour, you know, the challenges Sherwin has gone through, and that's his story, but your story as well. We will come on to that in a moment.
Community Spotlight on Impact MMA. Based in Salisbury, Impact MMA is a welcoming martial arts academy offering Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, MMA, boxing, Muay Thai and wrestling, with classes for adults and children of all experience levels. Whether you're looking to get fit, build confidence, learn self-defense or compete, their experienced coaching team has created an environment where everyone can enjoy training and be part of a supportive community. If you're local to Salisbury and thinking about starting your martial arts journey, visit impactsalisbury.co.uk to find out more.
This is the Jiu-Jitsu Lou podcast with me, Lou Temlett, coming to you from the UK. Keep checking out the clips that drop as soon as I've recorded an episode, usually way before the episode goes live. And as always, rate, review, and ring that bell icon. Subscribe and follow on whichever platform you are listening or watching on. I'd really love to reach 1,000 subs on YouTube in 2026. Today, I'm having a conversation with Matt Lane. So, Matt, your background, whilst you've mentioned basketball and various other things and your strength and conditioning stuff now, you have an interest in UFC and MMA. Talk to us a little bit about that, because I guess that's the connection. And when you're having discussions or chats with guys you meet in the sauna or at the gym or whatever, that might come up quite often.
Yeah, it's a funny one. Like, I guess it would have been around about 2007 was when I first came across MMA. An old uni friend of mine, Kane, he was really into his UFC. This is up in Twickenham. And actually the original Smashing Machine, because obviously they just done it with Dwayne Johnson. There's a documentary from the way back, the original one. Like, I remember watching Smashing Machine, Mark Kerr, with Kane and our other friend Dave. And I kind of like went by the wayside. We were working as PTs. Those two were firemen as well. And we'd opened this PT studio and we said to our company, oh, we should do it as a CrossFit, because CrossFit matched with, as far as we knew, with UFC. The UFC fighters were training CrossFit, and that kind of opened up a different realm to me, having played. I'd never trained combat sports or martial arts as a kid, and my God, do I wish I had, because, slight sidetrack, but like people get to a certain age and like, oh, I need to lose weight, I need to do this, I want to look buff on the beach for the chicks or the guys or whatever it is. Everyone gets into it at some point and dives straight into running or weights, but posturally they're destroyed because they haven't been doing it before. So actually learning to control your body weight, in terms of movement, skill and quality is like fundamental. And that's what a lot of this does. It's also great for the mindset. I picked up the mindset bit through my other sports, obviously. But yeah, kind of bringing it back in, like, that was the first exposure. And then it probably wasn't like another 10, 15 years, because UFC was still relatively small in 07. And then probably at some point, must have been like 2018, 19, because it was post-divorce for me. Because I remember that's when Dave and I would kind of I'd end up going and hanging out with him, with his family home, with his wife and the kids sometimes. And we'd stay up and watch the fighting together. And that kind of got me engaged. But I was never really one for football, basketball, rugby, speed. I'm like all the ADHDs, which is ironic because I was like a teacher and I was only diagnosed 18 months ago as being like very far down the end. So probably, it's the excitement, it's the thrill. I played contact sports, I played dynamic sports. I never really did the individual sport thing, but the way I love watching it. It's brutal. It is brutal. And I think that's the trouble, the disconnect, is watching UFC with this brutality. It's like modern day gladiators, not the fighting with the pugil sticks and wolf and all that from back in the day, but 2,000 years ago. That's what it is, as far as I see it. And I think the trouble with that and sports like rugby and boxing, you see that and you think, oh, sugar, I don't want my child doing that, they're going to get hurt. But actually that's very different from the reality of being excuse me, a hobbyist playing jits, rolling on the floors. It's a totally different thing. I think there's stigma around it potentially.
There's and I guess that's where the refresh for Impact MMA, because it is the public perception, and you touched on it really well there in terms that it feels quite intimidating and quite aggressive. And Frankie coming on board and you supporting as well, are there to kind of soften the edges and make it more inviting for people in the community. Sherwin mentioned about going down into Salisbury town centre and kind of flyering for their open day, and all of those other bits. And I think being public about what we're doing and trying to engage more people that don't know anything about martial arts, MMA, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and just softening the edges to make it feel more approachable, is ultimately what you and Frankie and the team are doing at Impact MMA at the moment. Talk to me about some of the changes that your friend Frankie and you and Sherwin and the team have made over the last few days.
I mean, I think the challenge for a lot of businesses is location, right? So Salisbury's a small place. The city centre is, excuse the pun, is carnage to get a car into. Like, so you're kind of screwed. And this is out on the outside of town. So it's making people more aware it's here, which is why being in town, handing out flyers, I forget the chap's name, apologies, but yeah, one of the boxers here was getting punched in the guts, trying to, people could win a tenner, all this. Amazing. Make a spectacle of it. Make people aware it's here. Because I didn't know until I had that chat with Sherwin a little while ago. But then to your point, and Sherwin's fully aware of it. We came in here and he's like, people walking that door off the street, the first thing is he's a boxing ring and a bunch of jiu-jitsu mats with half-naked, sweaty bodies, loud music. That's intimidating, or it can be. But you look at the bodies in the room, there's all shapes, sizes, ages, genders, whatever, and everyone's in it together. Yeah. And I think that's the bit that people miss, is actually it's so inclusive and welcoming. Like Tom Hardy rolls with people, turns up under a pseudonym and rolls in competitions, right? That's the kind of world you're entering. But to try and soften it, upstairs, they've been working so hard here, but you'll see the before and afters, literally in a day and a half, the difference that's been made with a good lick of paint, some tidying up, some, a desk, making things a bit more organised and flowy, so it's more welcoming. And then this whole concept of, there's an open day on Saturday the 4th. So get people here to have a look and see what it's like. And the more things that we can do during the day, obviously, once we've got the business up and running and we've got people coming in daytime to train here, they see the gym, they're aware of the gym, they talk to their friends. The best marketing is always word of mouth, right?
Yeah, completely.
Give a personal recommendation. Yeah. I go to the gym, I train with this person, that person, the other. You should see what they're doing for XYZ population. Oh, they've got a little, maybe we're going to, maybe there's scope to bring in a little cafe or a therapy room where people can get the massage. And that's what helps to soften it. It's having that kind of holistic environment where people can, it is a little bit out of the way on an industrial estate. That being said, there's a residential estate, a 5-minute walk. But if you can come over here and you can meet amazing people, improve your fitness, improve your confidence, all those things, and have a nice coffee, and there's a barber here, I can get my son's haircut tomorrow, and it's just all there for you.
Even I would come and get my haircut with my V-Hawk.
But I think it's, Frankie's not done yet. She's going to be back next week because she's off on another job. But looking at logos and graphics and things, and it's smartening up, it's freshening up, it's kind of just making it a bit more organized and just looking it's the same in a lot of places. I love training in spit and sawdust gyms. I always have, but that doesn't appeal. I'm not saying that that's what Impact is, but that doesn't appeal to everybody. But if you give it a nice lick of paint and just make it feel the way that the coaching and the community environment actually is, brilliant. Because I think you're constrained by leaseholds. The landlord's only going to allow you to do X, Y, Z. You're constrained by finances. So these people, these tradies turning up, these people working in different environments. So there's two things this business needs. This gym needs. One, we need an injection now. just to help settle things. So whether that's someone sponsoring the kids program, maybe there's a business that wants to sponsor the kids program for a year or the women's program or whatever. Like we need some cash here now to enable that long tail, increase the awareness, but then you need to stay open long enough for that tail to have effect and those people to come through the door and sign up. So there's like two kind of buckets here that's happening. And that's why the refresh was done so quickly, so that come 4th of July, it's looking better. And then the next opportunity to open the doors, it's going to be even bigger and better because the other bits have been done. So that all makes sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, having a gym space and it feeling welcoming, just to be able to encourage more of the community, whoever you are, inside, and just any gym that has the opportunity, they may not have thought about reflecting on their environment, but it's a really good thing to go, does my environment, does this gym look welcoming to anyone that might come on, come and visit, for example? And I think the work that you and Frankie and the team have been doing is really quite important. It may not be a coach's primary concern, because obviously, that would be safeguarding, and it would be, training and coaching students that, people that come along to the gym to the highest level that is possible. But I think, so many people overlook the materialistic aspect of a gym's environment. And we all know and love stepping onto fresh, clean mats and new mats. I remember Impact MMA putting down some new mats ready for the invitation.
The ones upstairs?
In 2024, yeah.
My God, they still feel amazing. I can't imagine what they were like in 24.
I know. And that's, it's having that, but it's not just that. It's what's outside of those mats to, that make a gym feel right for a child, for a woman, for a masters competitor, or for anybody. I think, the refresh is something that any gym, if they're in a position to reflect on, to kind of go forward. And obviously we're coming into the summer months in the UK, which makes it slightly easier to do, a refresh paint job.
Yeah, well, she's outside yesterday spray painting bloody fridges, desks that she's got hold of, tracked down off of Facebook Marketplace, and doors that she's bought out of B&Q that the chippies then, the bedroom fitters come along and helped her sort of trim down and design this desk. And like, it's all coming together really well. And I think what you're saying there reminds me of something that's very pertinent for myself at the moment as well, in this stage of opening, starting this new company. Like when I was in my early 20s, the plan was go study a master's in the States, come back, open an S&C facility. There was one undergrad in the UK back in 2007, so I had to go away. And then all of a sudden plans change because you find out you're going to be a dad, and that's cool when you go. But in between then and now, I've been fortunate to have quite a varied career. So I've been a teacher, I've been a PT, I've been a sports coach, I've been a sports science lecturer, I've been in sales, And along the way, you pick up all these transferable skills, right? Yeah. So to your point, the coach's primary concerns are the safeguarding, the execution of the sessions, et cetera, And as someone self-employed, you've only got so many hours in the day. You've got a family, you've got a job, you've got all this. So actually the business side of it isn't necessarily always front and center. It's about the training. Yeah. And I'm very much function over form. I'd rather something works than looks good. That's just my mentality, right? But in business, you have to have that synergy because like it or not, people do care about how things look. Yeah. And I think it's that it is a big challenge, and you've got to. This is where again, someone like Frankie, who just looks at the whole thing. She likes, that's her new thing. She likes to come in. She's done it with, backpackers, hostels, and all sorts of stuff. She comes in, takes the whole business, does the interior look and feel, from that, but has the graphic design to then make the brand coherent and cohesive. And in terms of most people, the end user probably won't notice that. But that's the differentiator a lot of the time between having a brand and a business and a job, or so that's where we're coming. And a lot of us are that start out in the world of self-employment, we have that passion and that skill for that one thing, but we might not have done all the businessy bits that sit behind it, if that makes sense. So I think that's important. And then so she's going to do all this work, and then in steps Kate to go, okay, well, let's look at your revenue streams. How can we make you more money? What's this going to do? Let's forecast and bringing that all together so that when this money comes in, that I've no doubt whatsoever that this is going to work, because the amazing response in the last 5 days. I just, again, walking upstairs just now, a lady and her little daughter were popping in to visit. Oh my gosh, look at this. It's so good. Let me take a picture of you sat behind your desk, because Sherwin sat there at the reception desk. It's all looking smart. Yeah. So I've no doubt this is going to work. But that's what we're doing. Frankie's pulling together the business brand, and then you get someone like Kate coming in with the business knowledge. Okay, this is how we do this. This is revenue streams. This is your forecast. That's what we need, and it's hard to find people. But I think the cool thing is, because of these guys' mentalities, I think I touched on it earlier. I don't know if I finished the point, so forgive me if I'm repeating myself. But the humility that Sherwin has shown to just go, do you know what, guys? Actually, we're a bit up an alley here with no paddle, or creek with no paddle. What would you do? That was what I was saying earlier about this stigma around making money and mental health and humility and openness and vulnerability. To just go, and that's what this is all about. It is a space where people can open up and come. They used to run mental health programs out of here, all sorts of good things. So
I think one of the things that you've kind of rightly said is, a lot of people struggle to ask for help. But if your gym, anyone listening or watching, if your gym needs some help, be brave enough to ask the community, because more often than not, the people you have around you know other people. There can be things that are done, because the more and more Brazilian jiu-jitsu gyms and MMA gyms that are opening in the UK, budgets are going to get stretched, and we want more places that all of us, the children, the adults and the masters, can train, and equally supporting businesses like yourself to facilitate and bring that community space back together, because we're of a similar generation, Matt, and communities used to be around homes and where we lived, but they're now more associated around the third place, which is wherever you go and hang out when you're not at work and you're not at home. And I think that they're just so pivotal for the future of society.
100%. And it's not just the children. It's for me, again, 10 years ago, 12 years ago, we moved to Salisbury. 10 years ago, sort of separated from my now ex-wife. And when you're working as a primary school teacher, which is a never-ending job, you could work every day, every day of the year, all day, and still have more to do.
Yeah.
And you're a single parent with your kids half the time. And then you move into a job in sales where you're traveling around the country the whole time, and you haven't got. It's really difficult when you move to somewhere completely new to branch out and make a community, your own network. I've been through, it's hard. It's really hard. It sounds stupid, but as a middle-aged bloke, to make friends in somewhere new is difficult, unless you are a member of a sports club or, going to the pub. And I just don't want to be sat in the pub every night of the week to meet people. That's just not my vibe. So places like this, from that mental health, social perspective, are massive as well. Because don't forget, health isn't just physical. I won't get it verbatim, but the World Health Organization's definition is it's a state of physical, social, and mental well-being, I believe. Now, I think you can expand that slightly further and probably add in financial, because that's massive, and add in emotional, and maybe that's just drawing out what they have tried to tidy up, but expanding it and make it really obvious. It is important to have friends and a network, because when you have a stroke and you can't go out at all, do anything for yourself, how do you get your food when you haven't got the brain power to process ordering online? It matters. It does make a huge difference. And just instead of someone going home and just staying behind the doors, if someone works from home, they could literally go an entire day, week without speaking to anybody.
Yeah.
That's where these really come into their own,
Yeah, absolutely. And just having a community, building a friendship, a network, a community of people, it certainly helps so many of us that are in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or MMA. Matt, I'd love to continue chatting for much longer. However, I do feel like you've got work to get back to and more things to
I'm
help.
hard at work now. What are you talking about, Lou?
Okay. Matt, shout out for your Instagram handle and how people can follow you and what people can do more in a short amount of time to really help Impact MMA.
Sweet. So, in order then, Instagram handle is redefine, but it's spelled with a Y instead of an I. So it's REDEFYNE _HPC, Health and Performance Coaching.
Yep.
So that's me. Website is redefine-hpc.com. So hit me up on either of those. In terms of more broadly what people can do to help Impact, follow them on socials, share all their stuff on socials, like their stuff, share your ideas. Like the dude's literally going, what would you do to save the gym if it was yours? How can you help? And everyone's been so forthcoming. So contact him, turn up, bring yourself. There's all sorts of bits and bobs that we can do. We haven't got a full wish list yet, but turn up, contact the place, just throw your weight behind it. Like that's it. Nothing. It feels good to help other people.
Yeah.
Like if you think you're doing something good for them, I guarantee you it will pay back tenfold for you. You will feel even better. So just whatever you've got, whether it's a question, a suggestion, an offer to lend some labor or donate some stuff or sponsor it, just get in touch. Like, when you speak to the dude, you can't help but be impressed. He's a legend. He's just such a good person.
Absolutely.
As is Joe, as is. So get involved.
Okay.
Please.
So,
and thank you.
Yeah. And hopefully Sherwin will come on the podcast at some point very soon, or Suzanne will, because I know she runs a lot of the women's classes. Matt, thank you so much for your time. I wish you, Frankie, and the team the best of luck for the kind of relaunch, and long may Impact MMA survive in Salisbury.
Amen to that. Thanks for having me, Lee. I really appreciate you letting us have this opportunity.
You are very welcome. Thank you so much for listening. Please let me know who you'd like to see next on the show. And as always, I hope you enjoyed this episode and thank you for telling your friends about the show. Look forward to catching you again on the next episode of the Jiu-Jitsu Lou podcast.